was rich. But why did he even give us that old one?
Who's the old one there?
Well, you know, you got one of them 2 days from each other, and that's a giant different amount. So,
Hey, John.
I just made a copy. I made a copy of this one.
Hey, John.
I think I did. Where did this come from?
Yeah, you.
that was in my pocket.
It was?
Yeah.
Hey, stick
Yeah, I didn't make no copy of this. Cause you know what? I think I did. Let me make sure, man. Oh, but it's the same amount. This is what I was looking at, genome. It's the same amount on here. But like you say, the total.
The difference
All that is
Trine.
Trine is the
A
difference.
payment to Trine Construction for the Roosevelt Road.
Looked like $282,000.
Right there.
One page.
Good shit.
Yeah, I start going through them and I'm like, you know, what? And I'm going page after, and it would have to be in the T's.
Right.
Towards the very end.
Right there.
Let's get this over. Hopefully it won't be about an hour. Done.
They didn't have you talk about
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call tonight's regularly scheduled board meeting for the Village of Broadview to order. Let the record reflect that the clock on the wall says 7:30, but it's actually 7:35. We'll have to get that corrected. So tonight's meeting will be called at 7:35. If you've got cell phones or pages or anything, please put them on silent and vibrate so as not to disturb the meeting. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Trustee Abraham? Here. Trustee Vincent? Present. Trustee Hodges is absent. President Jones?
Here.
Trustee McGreer?
Here.
Trustee Morris?
Here.
Trustee Brown Marino?
Here.
May we all stand for the pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Item number 2, public comment.
We only have one public comment on the docket for today, and that would be Ms. Gordon. Ms. Joreen Gordon, please.
Hi. My comment is regarding the last meeting when the village clerk, Maxine Johnson, made an announcement at the very end of the meeting regarding this village having a primary when we've never had a primary in all the years I've lived here, which is over 60 years, 63 to be exact. And also, we have never had a political situation here, i.e. the Democrats and Republicans. We've never had a Democratic listing for a primary, and I want to know how this came to be, how we came to suddenly have a primary being announced when nobody was aware of that possibility existing, and it never has existed here. We've always gone for a straight election, and that's what this village is all about. And our political parties have been based on the village itself, not on any outside organizations. So
Okay, well, I have no answers for you. Maybe that question can be answered by the clerk at some other
And
time.
also, I believe Ms. Johnson is listed on that primary. That's a question. Makes it more questionable in my mind.
Okay, well, obviously, I don't have the answers for that, but thanks for the concern.
Mr. President, there is some information I got from the State Board of Elections that I could share about that.
No, that's not necessary. I mean, if you want to get that to Ms. Gordon as a sidebar after the meeting, that's fine.
Okay.
All right? That's the only public comment that we had, Ms. Johnson.
Item number 3, consideration to approve the following minutes, December 3rd, 2012 regular business meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, there's a motion by trustee Morris and second by trustee Marino to approve the minutes of the December 3rd regular business meeting. So if any questions or comments from the board, corrections to those minutes? Anyone?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes, under unfinished business, regarding A, the motion by Rivera, second by Abraham, and you have a discussion. I also too made comments regarding supporting that and explaining that the 600,000, it was split over 20 years, would come out to 30,000, so I clearly remember stating that for clarification, so if we can have my comment added into the discussion, please.
Madam Clerk? Did you get that, Madam Clerk?
What was it, under unfinished business?
Under unfinished business A, regarding that motion of the ordinance to approve a development agreement, okay, there was discussion, and I also made comments regarding the support of it, regarding the $600,000 to be broken. If it was broken over 20 years, that would come out to $30,000 a year, and I felt it was best we took it as a lump sum up front. That was clearly, I think, how I put it.
So noted.
Thank you.
Any other corrections to the minutes? Having said that, the motion's on the floor is to pass the minutes with the correction from trustee Abraham in there. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Those minutes will be approved with the appropriate correction. Madam Clerk?
Item number 4, consideration to approve the expenditures grand total all funds, $528,626.91.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, that was probably motion by trustee Morris and probably second by trustee McGuire to approve these expenditures. Can I have a report from the Finance Committee?
Yes, sir. We have AT&T, $3,710.28. Auto Truck Group, $3,680. B&F Technical, $3,062. Baker Tilly, $5,313. Bank of Mellon Trust, $50,000. Broadview Fire Pension, $49,302.43. Broadview Police Pension, $10,175.21. Broadview Public Library, $3,224.58. C&M Pike, $4,467.50. Geno's Plumbing, $53,930. Group Industries, $9,638. H&H Electric, $3,131.71. M Rugged Mobile Technologies, $2,895. Michael Connolly, $3,562.50. Nicor Gas, $3,939.12. RDG Fund LLC, $3,939.12. No, I'm wrong, I'm sorry, it's $3,500, sorry. Tryon Construction, $283,053.21. Tesca Associates, $3,570. And again, Bank of New York Mellon, $3,000 for a subtotal of $503,116.92, which is 95% of the total bill.
Okay, thank you, trustee Morris. Questions or comments from the village board, starting with trustee Brown Marino?
None.
Trustee Morris?
None.
Trustee McGee?
None.
Trustee Benson? Trustee Abraham?
No.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Benson? Trustee Hodges is absent. Trustee McGrath?
Yes.
Trustee Morris?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino?
Yes.
And that motion carries with a unanimous vote.
Item number 5, a report of the village officer, building department, Commissioner David Upshaw.
David Upshaw is not in the room today. Does someone have the report for the building department? Anyone? Trustee Benson? For the building department?
For the month of November, fees that were collected, $23,991.50, with permits being issued, and that's a total of $6,546. Title 13 inspections, $6,635. Contractor registrations, there were 11, $550. Plan review, there was 1, $750. Property liens, there were 2, $942.50. Vacant property registration, 3 were registered. Backflow permits, 5 were given. Compliance tickets issued, a total of 4. Garage sales, there was 1. There were 8 complaints, and there were 46 permit extensions, which totaled to $23,991.50.
Thank you, trustee Benson. Madam Clerk.
Finance Committee report, Finance Department, Jan Bradley. Good evening, John's Board of Trustees Committee members.
Good evening.
For the month of November, general fund, we reported $694,000 in revenues, $931,000 in expenses. So that yielded for the month a net deficit of $237,000. But on a year-to-date basis, the general fund is running a surplus of $245,000. The primary sources of our November revenues was $36,000 in property taxes, $181,000 in sales taxes, $84,000 in utility taxes, $62,000 in state income taxes, and $10,000 in state use taxes. On a local level, our departments, the building department collected $26,000 in permit and inspection activity fees. Police department had $33,000 in fines and towing activities, and the fire department reported $47,000 in ambulance and hospital billing fees. Lastly, in the month of November, we did complete the 2012 annual rollover, of which $209,000 was allocated to the general fund for identified capital projects. If you look at our expenses, employee labor and benefits continue to make up the bulk of our expenses, representing 75% of the total month spending. The other significant category was our contractual services, which included $67,000 in legal and professionals service invoices, $33,000 in our general liability expenses, and $21,000 in various repair and maintenance expenses. If you look at our various departments, on an annualized basis, both our revenues and expenditures are running slightly below the budget level, and all the departments are running close to the annualized budget level, with one exception being the municipal building and ground department 25, which overran due to the unbudgeted cost of the parking lot repair. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Baptist. Questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I just want to be sure I understand. The remainder from the rollover bonds goes into the general fund, not the capital projects fund?
It was in the general fund.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Morris?
It's been on capital outlay, that's what.
Trustee McGreer?
None.
Trustee Benson? And Trustee Abraham? Okay, thank you, Ms. Baptist.
Finance Village Officer, Fire Department, Chief Gardner.
Mayor, Village Board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is the monthly report for November for the fire department. I'm also going to keep this a little short because I've got also a report of an annual type that I'll get to in a second. But over the month of November, we responded to 177 emergency calls. Of those calls, we had 3 box alarm fires and 1 car fire. We responded to the Loyola complex for a total of 17 times for 3 fire and 14 ambulance calls for a total of 283 for the year. We had 20 ambulance responses in the month of November for the Hines complex for a total of 153 for the year, and 1 fire, 3 ambulance calls, and 4 for a total of 4 responses to the J.J. Madden complex. Our Fire Prevention Bureau performed 113 inspections, 4 home inspections. They cited 47 violations and did perform 5 special inspections. As far as ambulance billing, we collected $18,694.50 from PBS for our services for net collection of $18,898.15. Thus, we owe them $536 due to direct deposits that they made. We billed Loyola Hospital for $9,000, Hines $13,310, and Madden $2,250 for a total of $24,560 for the month of November. We received $21,602.50 for services at Loyola, Hines, and Madden. And we also received 33 service cards, all stating our service is extremely satisfied or highly satisfied. It's been a year since I've been in the chief's position, so I just want to kind of recap some of the stuff that we've got done over the fire department over the last year. Year goes by pretty quick, but I don't believe it's been a year already. But some of the administrative things we've accomplished in the last year, we've signed and negotiated signed contracts with J.J. Madden Hospital, and also have extended our negotiations with Hines VA for extension on their ambulance contract. We're working on a contract right now with Catholic Charities to supply them with EMS service over on the Hines property. We've got a contract signed for the wireless fire alarm systems throughout the village, which gives us, the business owners and us, better protection overall, and it does produce a little more income for the village. Currently reviewing and revising all our policies and procedures, as well as our department standard operating guidelines. We've instituted a mandatory physical fitness program, along which all department members are required to go through a thorough physical exam every year. We've reassigned duties and responsibilities of each shift to make the work more functional and more streamlined due to our low manning issues. So that seems to be working out really well. We've applied for 2 federal grants, one for 6 firefighters under the SAFER program, which is $1.8 million, and also one for $400,000 for a new fire engine that we're still in the running for, both of those grants. Under equipment and station items, we purchased a new Type 1 ambulance that you guys now see out in the village, responding on calls, to replace one of our 13-year-old ambulances. We replaced one of the 20-year-old administrative vehicles. We did receive a grant basically for the whole village for redoing the lighting in all the municipal buildings in town, which was a savings of almost $100,000. Thanks to the grant we received. We replaced the 50-year-old air conditioning system in the station and also put some new landscaping in and cleaned up the outside of the station. It looks nice. Training-wise, we're now a host site for state training, which we've been running state programs out of the firehouse now, which gives us access to free training for our guys. They're allowed to attend the training at no cost due to us being a host site. Conducting live fire training, we did it at 17th Avenue in Fillmore. This year, which is the first time we've done that in town in about 12 years. We're also looking at doing some more of that here in the near future on a couple other properties. We're working on a new probationary firefighter training program. And also are working on other free training programs through our relationship with the state. We did receive a grant from Navis Division 20 for repairs to our training tower for a total of $10,000. That work's being done as we speak. We started a lot of community service projects, created a community service liaison, Mike Kaza, which is a new position within the department. So he works on matters with the community, our liaison with the department. He's created a Vital Life program, which you guys have all heard me stand up here and talk about. We've expanded our CPR training program to the business owners. We've gone and trained all the Park District personnel, as well as all the police department personnel in first aid and CPR. We're continuing on with the reading programs at both the Roosevelt and Lindau schools. We had our first annual open house in about 12 years during Fire Prevention Week back in October, which was a good success. We had a coloring contest at both the schools. We're continuing, we started a teach the kids how to dial 911. We've been doing that at Roosevelt and Lindau School as well. We're part of the Park District Community Harmony Project. Blood pressure screenings have been going on. We've been visiting the seniors occasionally do blood pressure screenings and keeping them up to date on some of the programs that are going on. We're having the Operation Santa Claus right now. Doing a fundraiser for that to help some families here in town over the Christmas holidays. That's been going very well. As of right now, last I heard, we're somewhere in the neighborhood of collecting about $5,500. Was the last total I heard. So that's been going about 5 times about what we collected last year. So it's very good. Yeah, it's been us, the police department, the village, and the Park District involved in that. And the library, sorry. Created a good relationship with the police department. Been working on numerous things with the police force. The LESO program, which we talked about a few times throughout the year, we collected or procured about $350,000 worth of equipment for the village between us, Public Works, and the police department. We're working on an emergency operations center at the firehouse, police chief and myself, along with a mobile command unit, which we'll talk about later. We had the first annual department awards and recognition luncheon. Chief DeGarrett and myself have been doing a program called Chat with the Chiefs. We've been going around getting information from people in town, having meetings with different groups. We're working on different incident action plans for the village, such as severe storms, flooding, and things of that nature. And as far as personnel issues, still working on trying to increase our force. Again, waiting to hear on what's going on with these federal rates we put in. We started a department newsletter that's in-house. We had our first annual picnic the department's ever had over the summer, and our annual Christmas Eve brunch. So basically, I just like to say we accomplished all these things while staying below budget and while responding at the same time to almost 3,000 fire, EMS, and calls for service over the past year. So looking forward to another big year, keeping the work going and keep building the department back up and getting it back to where it needs to be, being one of the finest departments in the area. So thanks to the board, Mayor Jones, for all your support over the last year. We really appreciate it. As you can see, we're getting a lot of stuff done. So without your guys' support, it couldn't happen. So appreciate it.
How fired up over there, huh?
Oh, yeah. So that concludes my report.
Thanks, Chief. Questions or comments from members of the board, starting with Trustee Marino?
I just wanted to remind you, you might want to say something about...
Yeah, I forgot about it.
Go ahead, Bob. Okay, well, just that there are flyers in the back about this, that the fire department is having another blood drive on Saturday, January 5th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So,
Thank you. Yeah,
Sure.
totally forgot.
Thank you, Trustee Marino. Trustee Morris.
No.
Trustee McGreer.
Chief, kudos to you and the department for doing such a fine job in the past year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Benson. Trustee Abraham.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment to the chief and the staff over there. You guys have done an excellent job, and I've had many opportunities to visit with you in your department and to look at how we can make upgrades and have a plan to keep the building up to par and to get the equipment and what you've been working on. It's been outstanding, and just getting the equipment that you've retained at no cost to the village between you and Chief Tagara. Definitely, accolades to that, because they don't save a lot of money to our residents and taxpayers here. So that was huge. And again, just working with our seniors and getting out in the community is a huge thing, because obviously, you guys are our front lines and people look at that. So again, we totally appreciate that. So I just want to extend a thank you and congratulations on your first year. And looking forward for next year and what we're going to be doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have nothing for you, Chief Gardner. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Village Officer, Police Department, Chief Tagara.
Mayor, board, and residents. This is the November monthly report for the Broadview Police Department. And as Chief Gardner indicated, we are working on an emergency action plan for schools and parks here. We've been working on this for the last 3 weeks. We met with Lindop School a week ago, and unfortunately, with the incident that occurred in Connecticut, our meetings are going to be expedited by the first week of January to get these plan in place, to have training in place, to have a couple of exercises in place that would involve the 2 schools, the park district, and the police and fire department. These plans are going to identify not only the schools, the park district, the industrial area, and the mall. Any entity that we believe may have some type of active shooter or any other type of incident. So we are working on that. I want to say that we had a burglary, I think, a couple days ago in the Beverly area, and this neighborhood watch. I'm a proponent of the neighborhood watch. I brought that back to the police department, and it's been up and running. They're independent of the police department. And kudos to those that participate, because today we receive, like we usually receive from residents, suspicious vehicles, suspicious persons. We received a call today of 3 suspicious persons in the Beverly area, and we went, we investigated. We have these 3 individuals right now, not in custody, but we are holding them for interviews and investigation. And we found that they had stolen property on them from a burglary that they may have occurred, and they may have been involved in Franklin Park yesterday. So kudos to the whole process of getting the citizens involved with this neighborhood watch program, hence calling the police, us responding, and the whole communication that we have with the other towns. So that's kudos to everyone involved. We had a shooting that occurred on Sunday morning, and the victim is stable. We recovered the gun, and we have an offender, now a suspect, identified, and we are working with other towns on trying to locate this individual. So your police department is working out there. I am very proud of our officers, and I think that we are seeing the gel between community and police coming together, and we're having a successful outcome, and that is communication, and that is hopefully arrest and mitigating the crimes that are occurring in town. So to that, I want to say that the yearly comparison index crime offense, so we had in October, we had 32, in November we had 22. Crime arrest for the index, we had 14, in October we had 6, in November. However, when we look at the other arrests that were made, you will see that there's a difference. Total citations of administrative and traffic, we had 460. Total arrests, we had 28, 6 to fines that were brought in. And as the finance director indicated, it was close to 37K compared to November of 2011 was 26K, so a difference of 11.7. During the month of November 2012, members of the Broadview Police Department responded to 1891 calls compared to 20,088 calls in October. 2 arrest warrants were served for other law enforcement agencies. We participated in the Hillside Veterans Day Parade. 3 sex offenders were registered as being Broadview residents. 50 cases were assigned to the Detective Bureau. 37 were cleared upon investigation, resulting in 74 solvability.
That's pretty high.
And I think those that have been coming to these meetings, I've indicated that I'm really concentrating on trying to increase our solvability rate in the Detective Bureau. Solvability rate is how you measure success, and that means either you clear by arrest or you clear administratively the case. And most of these have been cleared by arrest. So kudos to these detective officers. Where I only have 2. One assigned to the Federal Narcotic Task Force, and the second one is inside the Detective Bureau. So I only have 1 that's doing a lot. And again, I'm really proud of these individuals. I know that you are. So thank you for those that support the police department. As the Chief Gardner indicated, we have Operation Santa Claus, which will be an initiative that's comprised of village, police, fire, and library, and that's going to be December 24th. There's a little competition going on between fire and police on who's going to bring in more money, and there's a trophy, a bragging right trophy that either they're going to have or we're going to have. And unfortunately, they're out there with their boots. We can't do that. We're trying to figure something out. We're trying to figure something out how we could overcome that. But it's fun, and we're doing it for a good cause. The other part of our initiative is cots for coats. As you can see, there are 3 boxes. 1 here in the police department, 1 in the park district, and 1 in the library. And I think the second week of January, we're going to collect the boxes or collect the coats in the boxes, whatever clothes are in the boxes, and then we're going to set it up in the park district, and we're going to call and identify whoever wants to come in that needs clothes. We're going to have them all spread out. Some more information to come out of that. One more thing is crime mapping. I've been talking about crime mapping for the last month or so. It's all about the transparency of the police department. I welcome those to go on crime mapping. It's crimemapping.com. Look at what we're doing. Look at how we're doing. Make the comparisons yourself if you don't believe I've provided you the right information. You'll see that crime going down, the type of crime is going down, but we don't live in a perfect society. We're going to have crime, and we're going to try to do our best to mitigate that crime. So thank you for your support. On behalf of the Broadview Police Department, I wish you and your family a happy and safe holiday season. Remember, don't drink and drive. We're going to be out there. And lastly, in next month's report, I will provide you a snapshot of our 2012 activities. Thank you. That was my report.
Thank you, Chief Tiguera. Comments from the board, starting with Trustee Marino.
I do have 2 questions. Where was the shooting located?
On Sherman Road by the Garda entrance there, right over the bridge, going eastbound.
And was it fatal? It wasn't.
No,
it wasn't a
the
fatality.
victim is in stable condition at Loyola Hospital.
The other question I had, and I just discovered this today when I was looking for something else. Fox News had a report the other day about scrap metal being found at D&P Construction and JKS. But the reason that I wanted to bring this to your or ask you about this, part of the news story says that apparently there was someone who was arrested in Forest Park stealing manhole covers. And that's what led the police to go there. Then, according to the story, there was a tip given to the Westchester police, and they went there and found a bunch of their sewer caps. But in their report, in the Fox News report, it says Westchester Police Chief April Padlock told Fox 32 News there is still a large pile of stolen metal, as much as 100 pieces. So they've contacted 9 nearby communities that have recently suffered a rash of thefts, and Broadview is one of the 9. So I was wondering if you could say anything about this. Have we had a rash of thefts of manhole covers or other metal, and did we go to JKS and DNP and look?
I will not provide you the specificity of the case because it's an ongoing possible criminal case. But as it relates to thefts in Broadview, yes, we had, and I'll let the Director of Public Works talk about that aspect of it, but we had probably between 15 to 18 manhole covers, sewer covers stolen, and they were recovered at this location in Melrose Park. There were, I think, 50 covers that were located, and it was a variety of various towns. So, and there may be a crew of 3 or 4. One may be a Broadview resident, and so we are working as a task force concept with these other towns, and we're trying to come up with the strategy of bringing in the State's Attorney's Office to see how we're going to charge who, when, how, where, and all that.
Okay, thank you.
But we did recover ours, I believe so. I believe that a representative from Public Works went with the detective from the police department and made some identification and recovered some.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is that it, Trustee Moore?
Yes.
Trustee Moore?
No.
Trustee McGreer?
None.
Trustee Benson?
No.
And Trustee Abraham?
No.
Thank you, Chief. I think you covered everything for me. Madam Clerk?
Our next village officer, Public Works Department, Matt Haynes, and Matt Baker.
Good evening, Mayor Board,
Good evening.
residents. Briefly, Triumph Construction has completed the water main replacements on Louisville Road. They've also put in temporary sidewalks and curbs to be torn out in the springtime for the streetscape. Earlier this week, Public Works, shall I say last week, we had 3 vehicles that were down for a variety of reasons, fuel pumps and the likes. We've got the one water van that you typically see on top of fleeting around in blue water truck, and also our jetter truck. We discovered that when we had to respond to the 2100 block of 19th Avenue. Residential complaints said that they had sewer backup, and typically we'll go out and discover or find out that the contractor did not perform a rod out effectively. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Someone in that block, in that area, dumped a ton of grease down the sewer lines. So, in trying to mitigate that grease blockage, the jetter truck pump actually went out. So that's scheduled to be repaired. Hopefully we will need that anytime soon. The village employees, or should I say Public Works employees, participate monthly in Illinois Municipal League Risk Management training seminar. It's had at Public Works for all of the employees for topics such as bloodborne pathogens, shoring and excavation, prevention of back injuries, safe lifting, and our most recent was snowplow training. So all of the department employees participate and they receive copies of the certificate for which we put in their personnel file. Also, this month, Public Works collected a total of $6,000 in various fees, fines, and reimbursements. Once again, this could not be reported by the finance department because apparently it's not put into the general fund account. But to date, We've collected close to $30,000, $28,928, just by being, like I said, diligent for those individuals that own the village. And also just different ways to try and improve. When I say that, for instance, NICOR came out over the summer and they did the gas main replacements in the 80 acres of Gold Coast area. And rather than have them do a restoration of the alley behind, for instance, the Blue Note, we asked them to cut the village check for $5,500 because we knew that we would be coming behind and doing some main replacements and also some restorations. And lastly, we did file our annual LMO2 reports with the Department of Natural Resources. This is an annual report put on file, and it basically details our water usage here in the village of Broadview. The water that's actually pumped from Chicago to the pump station and pumped from the pump station to our water tower. All of that water has to be accounted for, and I think I've explained, or should I say, made note before that the state allows for 7% variance, I believe, so unaccounted for water. And to date, we have less than 2% of unaccounted for water. Obviously, I think that's great given the frequency of water main breaks that occurs in the village. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Ames. Questions or comments from the board, starting with Trustee Brown Marino?
None.
Trustee Moore?
No.
Trustee McGreer?
None.
Trustee Benson? Trustee Abraham?
None.
Thank you, Mr. Ames. Madam Clerk?
Item number 6, communication, we have none. Item number 7, unfinished business, we have none. Item number 8, new business A, consideration to approve the regular business board meeting schedule for the year 2013 for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois. Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been probably motion by Trustee Abraham, probably second by Trustee Morris to approve the schedule for the business board meetings for 2013. Do I have questions or comments from the board relative to the schedule? Anyone?
I mean, real quick, I wasn't able to view the schedule. It didn't come up like hers is coming up, but I did see hers, and there are 3 Tuesdays, of which I probably will not be able to make, so I would like us to keep that in mind, but I'm still okay with doing the schedule if everyone else is.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All in favor of the schedule?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that schedule has been approved and that motion passes. Madam Clerk?
Item number 8B, consideration of an ordinance authorizing and approving an agreement between the Village of Broadview and the law office of Lawrence Angelino for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Probably motion by Trustee McGreer, probably second by Trustee Abraham to approve the agreement between the village and the law offices of Lawrence Angelino. Questions or comments from the board, starting with Trustee Marino?
Yeah, and I'm actually disappointed that Mr. Finaro isn't here tonight because, and I had sent I sent Mr. Finaro and Mr. Foley an email as soon as I got this last week about another question, one of my points, and never heard back from him. So I was hoping he'd be here tonight to address this. In the ordinance, it says that we would be approving an agreement in a form similar to what was attached. And it's a very basic form. So I immediately wrote back and asked if there was, anticipated making any changes to the agreement in some way, or, why we wouldn't just be approving the agreement that we were given. So that's one question, or one thing I wanted to bring up. Do you know if this is...
Let her get all the questions.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yeah.
With regard to your question, the language you're talking about is standard language in every ordinance with regard to agreements. And the reason we put it in there is because sometimes there are minor changes to boilerplate, non-substantive changes that we have to make. When we have to do that, we don't want to have to bring it back to the board for approval. So that's a form of just a way of letting us make basic boilerplate changes that are not substantive without bringing it back to you. If there was a change that was substantive, one of the business terms, we would bring it back to you for sure.
Well, actually, that was the way that things started out a couple of years ago, and then there was a point that was made about having that type of language in the contracts, or I'm sorry, in the ordinances, and then that was changed to, that's not the way that our ordinances have been reading lately. But
I write 98% of the ordinances that we have, and they're all written with that language. What you're referring to, the change that was made before, had to do with changes being approved by both the president and corporate authorities, and the corporate authorities were added to that language. But the language with regard to a form similar to the agreement attached is always in every single one of our ordinances, and it's to deal with the problem of not having to bring an agreement back to the board if there's a minor change to the board approach that's made.
well, personally, I think that by the time we're given something to vote on, I would hope that, you know, those type of things would be resolved. But the bigger issue...
Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. You know, we're attorneys, we're very picky about how agreements are formed and the language that's contained in them. And sometimes we're able to bring you a completed agreement that's fully drafted, and sometimes we're not. But it's the changes that are made are never substantive. If there's a substantive change, we'll bring it back to you for sure.
Well, the other concern that I have about this, now Mr. Andolino has been doing work for our village for a few years now, and Mr. Andolino was also the coordinator for the the Municipal Officers Electoral Board, in other words, the local election board, in 2011. And my concern is that up until now, all of the work that Mr. Andolino's been doing has been under the umbrella of Finaro and Associates, and billed through Finaro and Associates, and that's the reason that I hadn't raised this question before, but now we're talking about an agreement with him as his own law office. According to the Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission, the ARDC registration, it says that Mr. Andolino does not carry malpractice insurance, which is not uncommon if you have someone who's, the way that they phrase it, some attorneys such as judges, government lawyers, and in-house corporate lawyers may not carry coverage due to the nature of their practice setting. And Mr. Finaro does carry malpractice insurance. Given the way that Mr. Andolino acted in 2011, I think that it's something that our village should really be concerned about in terms of, I don't understand why we now have to have a separate agreement with Mr. Andolino when he's been working under the umbrella of Mr. Finaro. So has Mr. Andolino been covered by Mr. Finaro's malpractice up until now?
That's a question I'm not willing to answer.
Right, and that's why I'm saying.
It's a business arrangement between Mr. Andolino and Mr. Finaro. If they want to answer that question, they will answer that question. However, your agreement with Mr. Andolino, all right, is an agreement with him and his law firm. It does not involve Mr. Finaro. And I believe in this situation there may be issues of conflict that would arise that would preclude Mr. Andolino working under Mr. Finaro's umbrella.
But it wasn't a problem in 2011, and it wasn't a problem in August.
Well, I mean, you're saying that...
No, I'm asking.
You're saying Mr. Andolino worked under Mr. Finaro's firm.
Well, he
I don't have those documents before me right now. I have no idea.
I mean, the services that he provided in 2011 were billed through Mr. Finaro's office, and I was led to believe that he was a part of the law offices of Phil Finaro.
I don't have that information available to me. I can speak with Mr. Finaro and have him email you and answer that question, but I don't have that information right now.
Well, and again, I wish I knew that he wasn't going to be here tonight. I would have been more aggressive. You know, when I didn't hear a response from him, I thought, well, maybe, you know, he figures we'll just talk tonight. Because this is something we either have to act on now or not at all, because
we're going to, the Municipal Officers Electoral Board, if it needs to, would be meeting before our next village board meeting.
Frankly,
So,
Trustee Marina, I don't see what Mr. Gennaro has to do with this situation. You're considering an agreement
okay,
with
Mike,
Mr. Andolino.
then let me
If
just
you
leave
have
it at...
questions, then you should direct them to Mr. Andolino, and I don't see how Mr. Andolino's business relationships with Mr. Fernaro are at all relevant at this point.
You don't?
I
Well...
don't. I mean, unless you have some sort of conspiracy theory.
Not a
I don't see the
conspiracy,
relevance.
not a
The ordinance, but before you was an ordinance to consider Mr. Andolino, appointing Mr. Andolino and his law firm as election counsel.
Right. And in 2011, Mr. Andolino did some things that showed complete bias and a disregard for the law.
Well,
And that's
you-
not just my opinion, you know.
Then Miss
And
Trustee, you have the ability to vote to not appoint him. That's what you're there, sitting there to do.
well, I'm saying that from my perspective, I don't understand why the change now and why what I'm concerned about the idea of having this man hired by the village with the knowledge that he doesn't carry malpractice insurance.
Well, whether or not he carries malpractice insurance, I don't know, is a concern that you can't have, but he would still be liable if he committed malpractice to the village.
Well, I'm bringing this to the attention of the rest of the board members, and I don't think it's a good idea. Under these circumstances, I don't think it's a good idea. I can understand why some of the people here would want Mr. Andolino, but that actually worries me even more, the idea of doing this without malpractice. So those are my comments about this item.
Okay, Trustee Moore?
No.
Trustee McGreer?
No.
Trustee Benson?
Yeah, I called Tim Foley earlier today, but I wasn't able to speak to him. So my question was, how long is the agreement for? Just
For this term of election proceeding. Now, this is a proactive move on the part of the village because it's possible that there won't be any objections.
Right.
There won't be, any proceedings that won't be necessary. But we're being proactive, getting ahead of it, and making sure that we're prepared for it.
But we don't have an end date set in mind for his employment.
I can't hear you, Trustee Benson.
I'm looking for a time to start and an end date that we could possibly have.
The date of termination of the agreement.
Right, for using Mr. Andolino.
If you would like, you can have us amend the agreement to put an end date in or to state that it's solely for the purpose of 2012-13 election proceedings.
Yeah, because I just didn't see a date. It is a rather short agreement, which is why I immediately gave him a call when I saw it, but he wasn't available to speak. So I figured I'd ask him. If we could do something like that, that would be great.
You can direct us.
As long as the board would agree with that. If not,
I don't have a
speak up.
problem. I have no
You don't have a problem with it?
That was my same question and comment was if it needed or required
Right.
an end date, there would be a place where the village has.
In attorney representation agreements, typically there's not an end date because it's conceivable that the representation can continue on for a while. But if it's a concern of the board, we can certainly amend the agreement to an end date or just have him retained for a certain subject matter.
Could I suggest that maybe we just say for the general consolidated 2013 election? In other words, whatever matters are before the Municipal Officers Electoral Board for, in regard to this election. Because that would probably take care of the start and end period.
We could do that. I think we'd have to put a little more language in there with regard to if there are appeals or proceedings that flow from it. But that's certainly the way we could go.
Could you add the change?
I'm sorry?
Could you add the change, please?
I can, if I'm directed to do so, for sure.
Is that it from the rest of the board?
That was all I wanted added.
Trustee Abraham?
That's it.
Okay, well, I have a couple of comments. First of all, Trustee Marino made a remark about his conduct at the last proceedings in 2011. at that time would have been a perfect time to make your objections to that individual to the proper authorities. If you had an issue with him being personal or his conduct, that should have been brought up then, not 2 years later.
It was.
To speak, well, but he hasn't been held accountable for any of that stuff. In other words, he wasn't charged with anything. They didn't find findings of fact of nothing have held him to be in violation of the law or the courts or anything else. So whatever conduct concerns you had, obviously whoever you complained to or appealed to didn't feel that he had acted inappropriately. Secondly, I'd like to point out that because you were in front of him, you may have your own bias as it relates to him. Because you stood in front of him and had a confrontation with him, that would cause you to have your own bias sitting on this board, as you cannot objectively take a view of this. And lastly, and I'll ask this to the attorney, is it or is it not true that law firms change periodically based on partners, members coming and going, attorneys change law firms, attorneys leave law firms? So whatever was going on or whatever the situation was with Attorney Andolino back in 2011, his status may not be the same as it relates to Fernaro and Associates today.
That's absolutely true, Mayor. And what happens in the law field is a lot of times attorneys will work of counsel to a law firm. That's what I do personally, is I work of counsel to Mr. Fernaro's law firm. So in a situation like that, you're working with the law firm, but you're not technically a part of the law firm.
Mm-hmm.
So are you covered by Mr. Fernaro's malpractice insurance?
I believe I am on Mr. Fernaro's malpractice insurance because of other work that I do in drafting and that sort of thing. I think also you're kind of exaggerating the need for malpractice insurance. In this area of the law, there's not as much exposure as, say, if I was a plaintiff's attorney, or if I was a litigator and there was a possibility of me missing statutes of limitations and that sort of thing. You just don't have the same level of exposure and the same necessity for malpractice insurance. Because a lot of municipal attorneys don't have malpractice insurance.
Would it be more safe to say that you're not really practicing the law, but sitting up here basically interpreting the law as it relates to what's being presented to you?
Exactly, and the malpractice insurance is really an important thing if you're a litigator, and there's dates that you can miss, where if you miss a certain date, your case is dismissed and your client now has lost his ability to make his claim. If there's, it's really tied to litigation. It's tied to a lot of bond counsel, where if you make an incorrect submission, your client loses the ability to get bonds issued. It's not as relevant to municipal attorneys as it is to other attorneys.
Okay, and that's pretty much all I have. And so, having said all of that, I'll entertain an amended motion to incorporate the language to the agreement that says basically that this is for the consolidated elections and anything that is related to the consolidated elections of 2013.
So moved.
Anyone else? Second.
Second.
Okay, so the motion was moved by McGreer and second by Trustee Abraham to amend it to incorporate the language. Mr. Attorney, please present copies of that to the village board as necessary. With that being said, I'll entertain a roll call on this particular agenda item. Madam Clerk.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Benson?
Yes.
Trustee Harvard is absent. Trustee McGreer?
Yes.
Trustee Morris?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino?
No.
The motion carries 4-1.
Item number 9, application for the authority to spend funds. Grand total is $46,584.97.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Point of order. Let's take these separately, everyone. These are two different purchase orders. So let's take the first one first. Can you amend your motion to address the first item?
Motion to approve Tiger Direct,
Number one, Tiger Direct.
number 1 under item 9.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned by trustee McGreer and second by trustee Abraham to approve item 9.1, which is Tiger Direct. And this particular agenda item is coming from the police department. I see that the trustee for the police department, the chair of the board is not here, the chair of the committee is not here. Do I have anyone from the police and fire committee that wants to report on this?
I'm on the committee.
Trustee Abraham?
It is for appliance 3, 47-inch TV/monitors for roll call and emergency operations center. The total amount is $1,096.97, and that included shipping as well. Correct, Chief?
That's right.
You want to add anything to that, Chief?
The original cost of the TVs were $800, and we got for $600. The original cost to not only the purchase of the TVs, $2,000, plus the installation of the wiring that we received from our vendors was close to $6,000. So the actual cost was going to be close to $9,000. I sat down with Chief Gardner, and we talked about how he and his people could help us in putting the wires in ourselves versus contracting someone. And we did that. So we saved the village the $200 of each TV, as well as the $6,000 that we were quoted by our vendors, and we did it in-house. So it's I have it in my line item. It's for our emergency operations center, for our roll call, more technologically capable. I can't even say that, but and the other thing was to include some of the items we have currently into our mobile command vehicle. That's another thing that we did. So the fire department purchased a new an ambulance. So instead of taking an ambulance and auctioning it out or just giving it away, we took that ambulance, and that's going to be our mobile command vehicle, and we're going to do more stuff to it, whatever we can, with the LISO program or what we have in-house. So the bottom line is we're trying to make this public safety command as more efficient and effective with technology. And one of the things that we're doing is putting 2 47-inch TV in our roll call room and 1 47-inch TV in our emergency operations center in the basement of the fire department.
So one of the monitors will be at the fire department, and 2 will be here.
That's correct.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments for the chief on the project, or even Chief Gardner as it relates to them coming in doing the wiring? Trustee Brown Moreno?
Yeah, and then the smaller monitor that's going to go in the EOC vehicle is in the, or I'm sorry, that's going in the command vehicle is in the EOC now.
Correct.
Right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In our basement, we have a conference room down there. We're also going to use it as our village EOC.
Right.
There's a smaller monitor that's down there now, but it's too small to really, for everybody, if you're further back, you can't see what's on it. So that would be perfect to put right into the
So that's the one that,
command one, so that one will get into there.
good.
Trustee Moore?
No.
Trustee McGreer?
Thanks for working together, guys.
Trustee Benson? Trustee Abraham?
And just one quick comment. You said it's $250.
$250 per TV.
$250, I thought we had an extra statement on it, so thank you again on that, gentlemen.
Okay, having said that, Madam Clerk, I'll entertain the roll call on item 1.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Benson?
Yes.
Trustee Hodges absent. Trustee McGreer?
Yes.
Trustee Morris?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Moreno?
Yes.
And that motion carries unanimously.
Item number 9.2, PC Control and Technology, $44,488.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Probably motion by Trustee Abraham to approve this agenda item, and probably second by Trustee McGreer. This is a fire department issue. Who wants to do the report on this one? Let's say that the trustee.
You want me to talk about it?
You want to talk about it? Yeah, you can talk about it. Well, we've talked about it. Carry on, Chief.
Well, it's basically a village-wide issue. Becomes a fire department issue because the fuel tanks are located at our property, the firehouse. So the fire department is charged with overseeing the fuel for the village. It's used by all the village vehicles. Problem we're having right now is we're getting water into our unleaded fuel tank. It's a 10,000 gallon tank. That system was installed in 1987, so it's gotten quite old. And we've maintained it over the years, but now due to age and rusting and deteriorating conditions, we're now getting upwards of 4 inches of water into our fuel tanks. Thus, that's why we think we're having a problem. PW's experienced 2 or 3 fuel pump issues on their vehicles, and we've had actually 1 fuel pump issue just in the last 2 weeks as well. We believe it's caused from this water getting into the tank. We've had people come out, pressurize the system. We do have leaks. The only way they can check for these leaks is to open up the ground above the tanks and expose the tanks, isolate the ventilation pipes that come out of the ground to vent the system, and then repressurize the tanks. So that's at a cost of almost upwards of $30,000 just for them to do that. So our thought is, while they've got this open, to replace the materials down there, the piping, the conduit, and the fuel pump, it's another $10,000 to do that. In other words, if we were to close it back up and try to do this 2 or 3 years down the road, it's going to be an added expense to open this all up again. So hopefully the 2 tanks, once they open this all up, they pressure test and the tanks will pass. They're pretty confident it will. They feel it's the piping that's leaking, not the tanks themselves. So once they do that, then this gets approved, they'll replace, we'll have a new fuel pump, all new piping to the pump, new electronics going to the pump, all new sensors that are required for the EPA requires us to have to check for leaks. It'll all be replaced. So we'll have a brand new system. The 2 tanks we have down there now are fiberglass tanks, they're not steel. So as long as they pass the pressure test, we'll be good to go. So. But it's definitely an emergency issue because we're measuring the tanks every day, and the water keeps going up about 1 inch about every 2 days. So.
I was wondering if, I'm sorry, are we on questions?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You can carry on. You can be first anyway. Go ahead.
Right. I was wondering if you could help me. I got a call from someone who saw the agenda, was asking me about this, and then I was explaining they wanted to know why we have our own gas pumps. And I was explaining that we save a lot of money by purchasing the gas ourselves, but I don't have access to the records room or the records to look at this. Do you know off the top of your head what we pay for gas as opposed to what we'd be paying if we go down to...
Yeah, we order the fuel by us, and when we order it, obviously when the tanks get down to roughly 1,000 or so gallons in the tank, so we can get we get a more reduced price the more fuel we order. So basically right now, I think unleaded, and the civilian market's running around $3.30, somewhere in that range. We're paying right now about $2.90 or so, anywhere between $2.80 and $2.90 per gallon.
So say between 40 to 50 cents a gallon.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And then there's taxes and stuff that we don't get charged with, that the average civilian pump obviously get charged. We buy fuel, which we're presently having to buy fuel from Shell. We're paying full price because their system alone can't take away the taxes, so that's why we want to expedite. But we save generally about 40 cents or more, depending on where the market's bouncing around every time we do.
And the other thing I was curious about, did we lose a lot of gas that was in the tanks?
No, right now it doesn't look like we're losing any fuel. It looks like the water's coming in from the top through the piping. So that would be a big issue because now we've got contaminated soil that we have to remove. But right now, they're pretty confident it's the piping, it's not the tank. So we'll know more when they open this up and get a better look at it. But as far as we can tell right now, we're not losing any fuel. It's just water getting into the tank.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Trustee Moore?
No.
Trustee McGreer? No. Trustee Benson?
So how long is this going to take?
They said it would take roughly about a week to do all that.
We're still coming in and out, it'll be blocked off, of course.
Yeah, they'll block that area off back behind the station, so we'll still have access on the south end of the station.
That's it.
Trustee Abraham?
Just I had to comment that I know that we had done an inspection back in August of your property, looking at different things, and I know you had some things you wanted to upgrade and update and also improve on. I'm sorry to hear about, this unfortunate incident now where we got our tanks leaking, so obviously I know we got to check the funding with Jan, so I appreciate that, so, you have my support, I guess.
Thank you, Judge. I have nothing, Chief. We've talked in detail about it, so that's fine for me. Madam Clerk, next agenda item, please. Well, I'm sorry. I need to get a vote on this. Madam Clerk, can I have roll call, please?
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Vincent? Yes. Trustee Hodges is absent. Trustee McGrath?
Yes.
Trustee Lawrence?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino?
Yes.
Okay, and that agenda item, that motion passes unanimously. Now, Madam Clerk.
Item number 10, committee reports, building and public property. Trustee Abraham?
Good evening, residents. I apologize for my voice a little bit. I've had the flu, and I know I'm always promoting yearly for the seniors and organizing that for them to get the flu shots, and I haven't put mine off this year. So obviously I came down with it. So, I know Walgreens does an excellent job and supports that. So, so if my voice or coughing, I apologize. I have a few items. One from the Commissioner Shaw's office. He received a notice from our Attorney General, Lisa Medius, warning utility customers of scam artists that are posing as utility company reps, and they're going door to door asking for payments. She does want that reported to our local police department as well as the Illinois for the Fraud office so that they can go ahead and prosecute these people and to stop that, because obviously the utility companies and the commission don't do that. The Illinois Commerce Commission, the utility companies don't do that. On another note with that, you do have to be registered to solicit within our village, and you have to register with our building department. And I know a few weeks ago, there was an incident, and my sister was involved, who lives here in the community, where two gentlemen knocked on her door and said they were doing putting windows in on the next block, and proceeded to start asking questions and how many people live here. And she's like, wait a second, if you're here to put in windows, why are you asking how many people live here? In the process, she went ahead and called the police and filed a report. And again, I want, I know Commissioner Upshaw is on this with different people doing work in our village. He's always saying, please call the building department, check to see if they're registered. And also, you want to make sure that when somebody does approach you for work or solicit you for work on your home or whatever, to check, to call and ask, are they reputable? Do they have a good reputation? Has there been complaints lodged against them? He has this type of information to protect us, the taxpayers and homeowners of this community. So again, I just want to put that out there. I'm sure Chief Tigera will also let you know that this goes on all the time, and it happens to anyone and everyone. So again, please, if there's suspicious people like what happened in Beverly, I know myself being over there, I'm constantly reminding the residents, just call the police. That's what they're there for. They will handle the situation better than we can. Just don't answer the door. We have certain ordinances here to protect us. So I just want to make a comment on that. Also, I did want to speak on the Operation Santa Claus. I know both chiefs have spoke about it today and mentioned it again. We are still collecting funds till December 19th. I did speak with the executive director of the Park District, Katrina Thompson, so we are still collecting to December 19th. We have contacted our local businesses as well to help support us in this event. And as you heard from the chief, how much money has already been collected. So again, we're just asking for $1, whatever you want to donate to help make somebody's Christmas a little bit more enjoyable. So please, if you can, we like I said, it's only $1 to give to that, and we're having much success. Also, finally, I'd like to wish everyone a happy holiday, to you and to your family. So thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Trustee Abraham.
Our next committee report is Business Committee. Trustee Vincent.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Real quick, the Resident Economic Development Committee was canceled in October. I was not able to have a meeting. Due to the holidays for November and December, we did not have the meeting. But it will resume in January 2013. I'll be making the announcement for it. So please look to come on out to the Resident Economic Development Committee, discuss our businesses more in detail. We will have some things already done. We will be going over those committee reports, those questionnaires in detail as we have already done. We'll have that outlined for us in January. And please do have a happy and safe Christmas and New Year's. Don't do too much. Please don't drink and drive. Be good. Have a good Christmas and New Year's, everyone. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Bennett.
Fire, police, and civil service, is anyone going to Trustee Herbert?
I do not have a report for her.
No report.
Street, sidewalks, and alleys, Trustee McGrath.
Everyone have a safe and happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McGrath.
Finance Committee, Trustee Morris.
I have no report.
Thank you, Trustee Morris.
Water, drainage, and Trustee Brown.
Just to wish everyone a very happy and safe holiday, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, Trustee Marino.
I do have a couple of reports, announcements that I would like to make today. December the 17th is the first day that this office, the village clerk office, was accepting petition for the April 9, 2013 consolidated general election. The time span will be from 3 to 5 on December 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, and on Wednesday, the 26th. That time is posted in the village window where you pay your water bills at, and it's also in the vestibule, posted there also. Also, there's a time limit. The village clerk office will be accepting the objections, the nomination papers forward. And that would be Thursday, December 27th, Friday, December 28th, Wednesday, January the 2nd, and the last day for objections will be January 3rd, 2013. I would just like to ask all of those who are participating in the April 9, 2013 consolidated election to adhere to the times that are posted. I am mandated by the county clerk's office to make sure that this office stays open till 5 o'clock, but I will be in the office from 3 to 5, so the times are 2 hours a day, so that will be posted also. And what else do I have? Oh, the residents respond. I do give information out about the election. One of the things that I cannot do, I will not give information out about petitions and the number of signatures that you have to have. I have to refer you as myself to also to read your candidate's 2013 election guide, and you have to go from there. I have been getting quite a few calls about the number of petitions that the candidates do need, and I cannot get that information out. You will have to go to your candidate guide and get that information, or refer to, your campaign manager or your attorney. There's certain obligations that the clerk office would not take the liability on in giving you that information, but I will have that posted. As for Ms. Gordon, I'm sorry that you feel you sounded so offended because of the information that I did give at the last board meeting, and I know you're not very pleased with the primary and Broadview never had a primary before and stuff like that, but you got to keep in mind, all you have to do is read and find out that information yourself, and I had that information posted also in the vestibule. A lot of people don't like that we have a black president, but we do. And so I can't please everyone on the things that I say and the things that I don't say, because I do have limited time, information, and also where I can post it. And that concludes my report. President Jones.
Thank you.
Please don't make it long.
Excuse me, sir? You need something? I just Couple of things. First of all, I'm not going to make the village board meeting a political platform or agenda. That's the first thing. Let me start by talking about a couple of things. Senior snow removal. Those of you that are part of the senior group, did you guys get out there to talk to them Friday? That did not come up in tonight's board meeting, but seniors that are living alone with no able body to assist them need to contact Public Works for assistance with snow removal once it's above 2 inches. We do try to make sure that we assist our seniors as best possible when we have snow issues in the winter months. So I need to put that out there so that if you know of a senior that's in town that may be shut in or whatever the case may be, may not be aware of what's going on, please let them know to contact Public Works. They'll come out, do an investigation, and if necessary, put them on a list. Secondly, I'd like to commend both of our chiefs for their commitment to working together, number one, getting involved with the community, number two, as relates to the chat with the chiefs, and also them identifying officers to go out and actually go into the schools and actually talk to the kids about police and fire issues in the schools. I've gotten quite a few calls from the schools about you guys, and I think it's a great idea or wonderful programs that you guys are doing. Next, I'd like to talk about the Neighborhood Watch program, which was touched on briefly by the chief. The Neighborhood Watch program is actually growing. We've got more participants almost every month. I don't know what the final, you know what the number is on the participants that we had recently?
70 registered.
There's 70 people in town registered for the Neighborhood Watch program. While they're not part of the police department, I'm sure that they can provide you all with information that will lead you all to be able to do your job more effectively. And that's great. That's a fantastic thing. The grants that have been applied for, hopefully we get them. That'll be a wonderful thing. It looks like a good opportunity for the village of Broadview. And lastly, but not least, the Operation Santa program. It's unfortunate in today's times that we have families that still just do not have and do not, we just don't know that they don't have. They could be next door to you, across the street from you. People are too proud to let you know that they got problems. What I will say is the 3 schools that service our town actually have a little bit more personal information about these children than we do, and they provide us with pretty good information that lead us to houses where these kids are really in need. It was a good program last year, and with the collaboration between the chiefs, the park district, and the village, I think it'll be a great thing again this year, and I look forward to participating in it. In the library? Okay. In the library too. Sorry, BJ, if I left you guys out. I just, you know. And then we've got the coat program outside that we're collecting coats. So if you got a coat that no one's using or that is around your house, please bring it on in because we need them. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion to end tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Properly motioned by Trustee McGreer and properly seconded by Trustee Abraham. All of you people, be sure that you have a safe and happy holidays and be careful for electrical and gas fires during the holidays and the weather. Have a good night. All in favor to adjourn? Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned.
Hey, you seem like you was